Hello, we are going to do problem number 37. So with this problem, we have string stir is treble. Because x is going to start at stir.length minus 1, that probably means that we are starting at the very last character because, as you recall, for both an array and a string, the last position is always going to be length minus 1. So let's go ahead and do this loop. We need to set up x and q, and of course our output. So let's actually just find stir.length for the sake of making this a little bit more concrete. Because treble is 6 characters long, stir.length will be 6. So if you actually go back to this outer for loop, x is going to be 6 minus 1, so x actually starts at 5. X starts at 5. So we can already tell that x is going to go from 5 to 0. But we'll go ahead and do that part a little bit later. So if x is 5, we go into the inner loop. Q is going to start at the value x, which is 5, and it's going to go down to 2. So we need to see what to print out. So it's going to print out stir.char at q, and which means the first time it's going to print out char at 5. Let's try to see what that is. So that's just the character at position 5, in which if you have to label the positions, it always starts at 0. So it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final E is 5. So it's going to print out the letter E, and then Q will minus. Now we will do stir.char at 4, which is the L. Q minus makes stir.char at 3, which is the letter B. And then Q minus makes it 2. So we need to do stir.char at 2, which is this first B. If we Q minus, now Q is no longer greater than or equal to 2, so we are going to print line, which means we go to the next line, and then we have to x minus. So x is now going to be 4. So x is still greater than or equal to 0, so this time when we go into the loop, because Q starts at x, Q will start at 4, which is the value of x, go down to 2. So if you could see the pattern, it is now going to print characters from 4 over to 2. So as you can see, it starts at 4, which is the L. Then it goes to B, which is 3, and then the other E, which is 2. So we're pretty much continuing the same pattern throughout. We print line, go to the next line, x minus is 3, go into the inner loop. Since q is equal to x, then what we'll do is we'll go from q starting at x, which is 3, go down to 2. So now we will print the characters 3 and then 2. So char at 3 is B, char at 2 is E. X minus makes it go to 2. So now go back into the inner loop, q is x, so q will start at 2, go up until 2. That means we're only printing at char at 2, which is just that first letter E. X minus, now x is 1. Q will now start at 1 and go to 2, but remember we're going backwards. So if you notice, if Q is 1, 1 is not greater than or equal to 2. So this really doesn't do anything. Finally, let's go down to x minus minus, which means it's 0. Go back into the inner loop. Q will start at 0 and try to head towards 2, but again, this is going backwards. And because 0 is not greater than or equal to 2, this again won't do anything. So our final output is just going to be, let me use a different color for this. It is going to be whatever we did right here, and that is our answer.